cable that you would have had from AT&T, but because the signal is coming from a DSL cable to begin with, even though you patched in a fiber optic cable, it's still limited to the speed of the other cable that you're coming out of. And the only way to solve that is to remove that cable from the start and end point and replace it the entire length from start to end point. And like I say, it's not necessarily a money issue in this country anymore, because there are plenty of people who made their money doing that originally, who would love to do it in some of the cities that they live in, but they can't have access to because the city won't let them go through all of that.
Oh, damn.
Because it's telecommunications. You've got electricity, you've got communications, and in most instances you have not just electricity, but extremely high voltages that you have to work with. And so those are a whole bunch of safety concerns. It's not quote unquote difficult per se,
Right.
as long as you know how to hook up the fiber objects themselves. Other than that, it's literally just using a ditch witch and pulling the cable through the ground is pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not the people doing it that are the problem. It's
the city you gotta get around.
Yeah, anybody in a position of, well, I can't lose $50 to gain $100. Like, what?
Right.
That's the current state of our country. I'm not going to shut down my store for 3 days so that I can have internet signal that will more than make up for the 3 days that I lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't understand it, dude. Like, where I work at right now,
Yeah.
the computers that we use, dude,
Right.
have the same processor that you have in your computer. Okay?
Of course.
An i5 9th gen.
Yeah.
In some cases, it takes almost 5 minutes to load one of the pages that we work with on our internal server. Because what they did was, they spent a bunch of money on the computers and absolutely nothing on our network.
Yeah, right.
So our computers, if they gave me the go ahead, I would literally take one of the computers we have at work, throw a video card into it, and it will almost match Dennis's computer.
Oh, wow.
That's the type of computers we're using at work, okay?
That's
And I have to wait because our server traffic is so fucked, because the building was built during World War II, and it never actually got internet put in. It got like electricity and shit put in, sure, but it never actually got internet put in. And so it's this huge steel and metal building
Yep.
that they have a 3G Wi-Fi network running through.
Oh, yeah. I think that's how Oakland is right now.
Not only is it a 3G network that they have running through there, there is, so Oakland, it might have a slower 3G Wi-Fi network max running through. Oh, yeah, it might have a slower connection, but it's going to have a much more stable and a much bigger connection, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
Oakland will most likely be limited by the speed of their cabling, is what it's going to be. So those have a certain
and their
speed.
servers too.
Right. Those have a certain speed that they operate at, but I can guarantee you they have a lot more money put into their servers than the job that I have. So their servers, they might only be able to read and write data at a certain rate, but because of the communications going on, because of how do I put this? So bandwidth would be like a highway, okay? So where I work at, we've got a really low speed limit and a really skinny 2-lane highway. Where you work at, you've got a pretty low speed limit, but you've got a 30-lane highway. So even though you can't communicate very quickly, everybody can communicate at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Where I work at, we use wireless like scanner things to to scan items off the shelf, to scan them into where we're putting them, you know, to do all of that shit. All of those are wireless, and at
Oh,
any
of
given
course.
time, there's 10 of them going on
Yep.
at any given time on a network that barely supports 3 computers. So if
Right.
anybody's doing stuff in the scanner, and I'm trying to do stuff on the computer, and anybody else is trying to do stuff on the computer, we're sitting and waiting.
Oh yeah, of course. That's
The
kind of the
best,
same shit with our company. Like what we got. Like so the jackpots and everything that goes on through the casino, it goes through a cell phone that's
yep,
connected to a Wi-Fi, you know. And
yep,
half of the time you're walking through the building and your Wi-Fi is just loading.
yep.
Your fucking device is just loading. I
So
mean,
that means they need more access points. So the reason for that happening is because they have access points set up in the areas where they need to have Wi-Fi, but in
right.
all the areas that they don't quote unquote have to have Wi-Fi, they don't have it. That's
But
why it's constantly trying to
I mean,
reconnect.
it's in a casino. Like you
Right,
think
right. You
they
also have to understand it's in a casino that's one of the
very
longest running and
first.
oldest
Yep.
casinos,
Exactly. They're
especially in
trying
this
to figure
area.
out how to upgrade it,
Upgrade.
and
Yeah.
which they don't even care about that. They want the machines on the floor to
Right.
fucking
I
take
was about to
people's
say they know
money, and
they understand how to get more money and they understand that they have to spend a little bit more money to get that going. Right.
yep. But also, if you haven't heard about the sellers, the old guy that used to run it fucking cared about this business like day in and day out.
Oh, I didn't
Fucking
realize that they had sold recently. Well,
they didn't sell. It went to a younger generation of sellers
yeah,
that
yeah,
they have their hands tied in fucking numerous other bigger operations
yeah,
that this is just child's play to them. Like they don't
yeah.
really care. Like they come here because they have like a fucking house on the fucking track or right beside the track. So
Yeah,
they got a personal butler that I know very well, and he goes over there every fucking time they come into town for race seasons and stuff. But other
yeah,
than that, they don't give a fuck about the casino. They want the casino just to make extra money on the side.
yeah. Yeah, we're dealing with the same shit where I work at now because the younger generation is in the process of learning shit to take over. And
Right.
uh, like the older guy, how do I put this?
He
Uh,
cared. He was kind of like,
well, so kind of, but he cared in a different way than you would expect. So the company I work for, William, it started, the family that owns the company I work for started as moonshiners.
oh, nice.
Let me give you a little background for these people. Do you remember the Hastings store that
In
sold like
Conway?
video games? There was one in Conway, there was one in
Yeah.
Jacksonville. They sold like video games, movies, books.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was a part of one, and they had a
That's the
Pokemon club.
family I work for now.
Nice. I
I work
guess in
for
a
the
way.
Hastings. Okay.
Hastings. Okay.
The reason why they closed down Hastings, the store, was
Why?
because of GameStop. Okay. And
GameStop.
not because they figured that
They're so
GameStop was
small.
going to be competition. They did not figure that GameStop was going to be competition. That is not what it was. Okay.
Right. And they're so small.
The Hastings family starts businesses to supply something that they need that nobody else supplies. Okay, they started Hastings because there was nothing else in the area where you could get movies and books and CDs and everything together. So once Barnes and Noble and GameStop became really big, well, hey, I don't have to have my own store because I can go to these places and get my shit.
Right.
Same thing happened with the business I work for now. It is a nut and bolt company. Okay, he started it in the 60s because he needed to get some fucking bolt for his fucking moonshining truck. Well, I apologize. By that point, they weren't moonshining anymore. They were legally selling alcohol by then. But he needed
Right.
to get some fucking nuts and bolts and parts for his trucks and shit, and nobody in the area had any. So he did exactly what you were talking about earlier. He started a new company, bought the shit that he needed, had it paid off because it was a company expense,
Yep.
and now we sell that same type of shit to everybody else.
Exactly.
Now, when I say this man cares about his company, he cares about his company as far as making sure that nobody comes in to investigate things.
Oh yeah, of course. He'll probably pay off the investigators just so he
Love the
can.
guy to death.
Yep. He'll pay off the investigators
Absolutely
just so
not,
I
because that
can.
is a huge red flag. He refuses. No, like I'm saying, that's a huge red flag because if you pay off one investigator and you get a really glowing review and another investigator comes in and is like, how the fuck did you get this good ass review? Your shit's terrible. You're immediately getting like a recommended to a higher authority. No, what I'm
Right.
saying is like he keeps everything by the book. Like he makes sure we have all the stuff we need. He makes sure that we've got all the equipment we need. There's not like unsafe shit happening. But it's
Right.
like, how do I put this? They don't necessarily want us to be able to do our job completely.
Oh yeah.
Uh, like our forklift mechanic right now, they've been after him for months to replace the tires on the forklifts, but they refuse to give him any of the tools necessary to do it.
Oh my god. Really?
Well, we keep telling him to do it. I understand this, but you also need to understand you're expecting him to change the wheels on a forklift with a regular car jack stand, which you can't even get under the forklift to begin with, and won't hold the forklift up because the forklift is too heavy.
Of
Okay,
course.
that's your first fucking problem. And your second problem is you're trying to have him do it with all of the wrong tools.
Right.
You're not taking a forklift apart with hand wrenches, dude. You need like a fucking drill
No, exactly.
or a torque. Sorry, a fucking cordless wrench. Like it's not gonna work with
Yeah.
a fucking shitty ass hand tool.
No. I mean, are there rivets in it and stuff that they gotta take out too? Probably.
No, but it's all like hydraulics and stuff. So for
Oh yeah.
hydraulic pressure is very forceful. Like you can't just hand tighten the screw or a nut on a hydraulic hose.
Right.
Those things require like 90, 100 foot-pounds of torque.
Jesus. So unless you
Oh,
got a
and I
special
guess,
tool.
right. And I guess that's a really good example, actually, because right now, one of the problems we're having, it keeps happening over and over again,
Yeah.
is one of our forklifts, one of the cylinders is busted on it. They keep having to replace the hose. Well, if you replace the hose, but the cylinder that it's plugged into is fucked up, the hose is constantly going to bust because the cylinder is not acting correctly, which keeps causing the hose to bust. He's replaced the hose 9 fucking times now, and I myself have gone to management and been like, look, dude, it's obviously not the fucking hose. That's obviously not the problem. I can't keep coming in every morning and cleaning up hydraulic fluid all over the warehouse because somebody at nighttime keeps using the forklift. That can't keep happening.
Right.
So Josh, he's the mechanic forklift. I'm friends with him. He was telling me that they finally broke down and bought him a whole cylinder, like a whole cylinder contraption to put onto the forklift. Well, in order for that to happen, he has to cut off the old cylinder, okay, which isn't just like a hacksaw or a sawzall. You have to have like a plasma cutter because it's literally metal welded to metal and then re-welded. So he has to cut off the old cylinder, weld the new cylinder on, and somehow hope that it works because the cylinders are not ever meant to be replaced. They're meant to be one part of the unit, and if the cylinder goes bad, you replace the fucking forklift.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he's about to spend too much time proving his point on that because he's spent so long just doing the things that they're telling him to do and they keep fucking up, even though he tells them from the beginning, hey, this is the wrong way to do this. There's like, oh, just do it anyways. It's because it's the younger guy who's taking over from his dad, and the younger guy is more about, I don't care what you're doing as long as you're not standing still.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's fine, but if you want the people in your warehouse to do some shit, you need to make your salesmen make orders. If there's no orders for the people in the warehouse to do,
Yeah,
there's
then what are they
nothing to do
doing?
in the warehouse.
They're just standing around. You can't do nothing. There's no orders to, you
And I've
know.
tried explaining that to them so many fucking times. I'm like, well, you can get a broom. You're like, you can like organize stuff. Or you can clean up some stuff. And I'm like, dude, A, you have somebody as a cleaning staff. B, you have somebody as an inventory staff.
Right.
So no, I'm not gonna go around and clean up inventory. I'm not gonna go around and sweep up the fucking dust and shit. You have somebody specifically for that.
Right.
Period. And the people that you have for those jobs, I'm very familiar with, and those people do not mind doing their jobs
Oh yeah.
at all. But the older guy, every time that he's visited, he has seen me doing something completely different in a completely different area of the warehouse than the last time that he'd seen me.
Yeah.
And so every time that he comes in now, and if there's nothing to do and I'm just, sitting around, there's not anything to do, he takes my word that there's not any orders to take care of because he knows out of anybody in the fucking warehouse, if I'm just sitting around, there's not anything to do.
No, huh?
But his son hasn't got that through his head yet. His son keeps trying to fucking like harass me and shit, and he's all like, every time that he comes in, he always comes in either at the very beginning of the day or at the very end of the day when either no orders have been put in yet, so we haven't started working because there's nothing to do yet, or we've already taken care of everything for the day and it's the last 30 minutes of the day and we're winding down.
Yeah.
He's like, well, do we pay you till 3? Do we pay you till 3:30? And I'm like, well, if you want to go on that, I'll just stop doing all my work till 3:30.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the son's not a very business smart person. I couldn't speak outside of that because I've never really had conversations with him outside of the shit going on at work. But as far as like business minded, he's not in the right headspace. I've heard that he's a fairly intelligent person, and like from some of the other things I've seen, I can fully believe that he's an intelligent person. But as far as a business goes, not really, because he's watched his dad do it and only gotten ideas for, I don't want to do it how my dad did it, but never actually done the job to find out why his dad did it that way.
Right.
Like, bro, our warehouse is a storage area for their family, as well as a works warehouse. Like, seriously, I don't say that lightly. Like, in our back, like, dock area. So the building I work in now, at one point in time, was 2 different businesses at the same time before the company I work for bought the building.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they had a front loading area for one business, and they had a back area of the warehouse for the second business. Well, we're obviously only one business now, so we only use the front area for loading and shit. Well, the back area, on the back loading ramp coming into the building, if it's winter time, you'll go back there and you'll see a 45-foot yacht on a trailer, just sitting amongst all the parts and shit, just right in front of the garage door ready to go out. If you go in there during the summertime, they've got the boat out and they're using the boat, and they've got their fucking tour bus parked inside. The tour bus that they go camping in during the winter. Okay?
Wow.
That's one corner of the warehouse. And then the opposite back corner of the warehouse, they have 2 almost completely restored fire engines from the 1930s.
Yeah.
Okay? A couple years ago, somebody took just the mirror off of one of them.
Yeah.
Okay? Just the mirror. And they offered a $500 reward for information for just the fucking mirror.
What?
Because each one of those, if they were to do anything with it, easy $400,000-$500,000.
Damn. That's nuts.
There's a whole part of our warehouse, and I'll probably end up taking a picture of it at some point. A whole part of our warehouse. We sell nuts and bolts and like metal shit, right?
Right.
There's an entire section in the back where our boss has people that he's known. I'm talking about the old guy. Has people that he's known for like his entire life. Like they're doing woodworking shit for the family.
Really?
Yes, I mean like there's furniture and like appliances and shit that like.
Yeah,
You
I guess that kind of
remember,
sounds like our area too.
Yeah, you remember Simpson's Pawn Shop here in town?
Yep.
Imagine walking into Simpson's Pawn Shop, except it's not a store. It's where you work at, and where you work at has nothing to do with the stuff you're seeing.
Right.
Like every time I go back into that area to get something, I'm just like, dude, are they furnishing their grandchildren's houses at this point? Like, what the fuck?
Probably.
I will say though, I really do like my job. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Out of all the jobs I've had, it's the most. I'm not even necessarily going to say mentally challenging. It's the most. Well, I guess it is the most mentally challenging too. It's not really saying much though. It's the first time I haven't felt like my job is extremely fucking beneath me, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, of course. That's why, like, after table games and getting this job, yeah, I feel like this job is definitely beneath me.
And I don't mean
but...
that like, oh, I'm not gonna do that job because it's for like peasants. And
oh,
I mean, like,
no,
it has
exactly.
like, I know that my time could be used better elsewhere because this is not using my talents. If that,
right.
like, I know you know what I'm talking about. You're one of the few people who know what I'm talking about.
Bro.
Like you and Matt are about the only two people who know what I'm talking about when I say that.
Yep. I mean,
But like,
shit. The things I do, bro, I try to learn from the game techs just for fixing machines. You know, they're in there like fucking, I'm like, hey, I need you for this fucking, you know, call a game tech for this job or whatnot. And they're like, alright, we'll be there. And then once I get there, I'm like, hey, I've done this and this and this to the machine, like I pretty much should have done. And I still haven't got it fixed, so.
Yeah, that's the person I am at work.
Yep.
We actually just, so, the people I work for, dude, they own Moon Distributing, which is a liquor company. It's one of two liquor distributing companies in Arkansas. The other one is Golden Eagle.
Yeah.
They own Moon. They own the company I work for. And they own a fucking bank, dude.
Oh, of course.
They own Eagle Bank.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
the way it works is, their alcohol business, as far as I know, from all of the people I've talked to, including some of the customers, they're cash only.
Oh, really?
Or like check only. They don't accept credit or debit. They only accept cash or check.
Yeah.
The business I work for does not accept cash or check. They only accept credit. And they own a bank to tie the two together.
That's crazy.
Which means money never actually goes anywhere. Because the cash that should be coming from Moon goes straight into buying everything for the company I work for and buying all the stuff as like a tax write-off because it's cash. It's very easy to do a tax write-off with cash because you can just show the receipts and nothing else.
All right.
So all of our wages are paid from the company I work for because it's all electronic and they don't give us paper checks. They refuse to give you a paper check. It all has to be a direct deposit now. It has to be. So they're
that's how ours
controlling
is now.
they're controlling the cash flow into their own fucking bank as well as controlling the electronic funds leaving the same fucking bank, dude. It's insane.
That's crazy. Jesus. I mean that's kind of like Oakline. Like some of the checks they have like put out there have bounced or something from
Mm-mm.
what people have
You know
said.
what I'm saying is it's impossible for that to happen with the company I work for because of how they do their books. So, um, a lot of the customers that I service on a regular basis are consignment customers. Now, the way that works where I work at is they don't pay for the parts until they use them. Okay?
Yeah,
They don't pay for the parts until they use them.
really.
One of our customers, one of our consignment customers, last time I checked, owed us over $1 million in parts that they had on hand but had not used yet.
Sheesh. That's nuts.
It was like 1.4. Now, when I tell you that the company I work for will never be struggling for money,
Oh yeah,
ever,
just like mine.
it's
They want
insane.
to pay everyone a shit wage and fucking not give a shit about benefits and not want to give you overtime or give you fucking full time because they don't want to pay the fucking benefits.
Oh, see, that's just it. They offer benefits here, and they try to get people on full time. They just normally they've had such a bad problem with people working where I work at that most of the time they have a mandatory 6 month temp period. But when I say mandatory, I mean like if you're there past 6 months, you're not a temp anymore.
Yeah, of course.
I'm really glad with the team that we have going now because there were a couple of links in the chain that were, I'm not even going to say weak, they just weren't fucking there at all.
You're right.
Like, a big part of our job, the only reason why we have as much business as we do is because we do something called recoup. So if you want a part that is sold from the manufacturer at, if the manufacturer only sells a pallet of it at like say 36,000, because a pallet is 36 boxes, each box is 1,000 pieces. Say
Right.
you want a screw and you only need 400 of it, but
Yeah.
the manufacturer only sells 36,000 at a time. We'll sell you 400 of it.
Right.
We have somebody to take a box, count out what we need, and then count out what's left in the box and put that back on the shelf for next time.
Yeah.
Well, for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, the people doing the counting didn't know how to do it. So every box we go to afterwards to get for the next order was completely off, either way too much or nowhere near enough.
Alright.
So now the people we have doing that job, they're very good. I have a lot of trust and faith in them. And we haven't had anywhere near the same kind of problems.
Of course.
Like, for instance, the other day, it was at the end of the day, one of the salesmen came out, and he had an order that he wanted to send out at the end of the day, so it was like kind of a rush and shit. So me and Andy, my manager, we were kind of the ones handling it, because it was at the end of the day, and past a certain point in the day, I don't really ask anybody to do much, because we're spending that time going around figuring out if anything was missed up to that point, finding, like, putting everything together, making sure everything is done, and I don't want to have new stuff going on during that because that just confuses everybody. So
Yeah.
after like after like 2:30, I don't have anybody doing anything other than finishing up.
Right.
So if the salesman comes at like 2:45, 3 o'clock, I normally go out and get the shit myself. And so he came out there and did that, and it was a box that fit in the palm of my hand, okay, with
Oh,
like,
wow.
it had 200 pieces in it, and we sold 187 of them.
Yeah.
That order was $23,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, I held almost $30,000 in the palm of my hand in parts.
Oh, you hear about our fucking table games last fucking week?
It's so dumb.
$400,000 on the table games fucking payout. $400,000 someone hit on their progressive payout on table games.
How long were they there for?
I don't know. I don't know any of the details. I just know they.
400K on a progressive?
Yep. That's
Like,
pretty much highest payout I've seen since I've been there.
that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, even if they spent like $100 a hand or something, like that was
Right.
pretty much nothing. If they spent like $10,000
Crazy.
and finally hit that, but I've seen that kind of shit happen. You know,
Right.
like people like played the progressive, and then the one time they didn't play it, they would have hit for fucking 200,000.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Bro, that's why I'm kind of, because I kind of mentioned that their ultimate goal for me is to eventually become a salesman.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Long as you're an asset to the company,
well, so the
you're
way that it works for us is they typically try to use, they don't try to outsource their salesmen because they want somebody from inside the company who at least like knows the processes and shit.
right.
So you don't have somebody in the office like, yeah, I can send you that order in 2 hours, and it's fucking 15 pallets of shit, and we don't have a truck for it. Like that can't happen.
Yeah.
And I really am pretty excited for that because, bro, some of the salesmen get some commission on some of the shit that they do, and the
Some
biggest
don't.
order I've sent out was like 3.7 million. So, yeah.
You get commission off of shit you send out.
At the moment, no, absolutely not. But some of the salesmen
What?
do get commission on their sales. Yeah, the warehouse workers, no, we just get paid hourly.
Ah, stupid. You should be a commission and
Well, I'll say this. Because of what I've done for the company,
yeah.
I'm the only person in the company's history to get a dollar raise at a time. They normally give out a quarter at a time. I'm the only person in the company's history to get a dollar raise at a time, and I've gotten it 3 times.
I mean, that's decent, I guess. So what you making an hour?
I'm making 17.
God damn, John. Ah, you need to join the casino
But
business.
what I'm
I'm
doing
just
now
saying.
is I'm now doing dispatch. So now I sit in front of a computer all day, and when an order pops up on the screen, I look at the order, I decide who would be the best person to get the parts for the order, and then I click on a button on the screen to have them go get the parts.
I mean, yeah.
If they
It's,
had kept me doing what I was doing for much longer, I would have been looking for a new job
oh
at
yeah.
that pay rate
No,
anyways. But
I feel
because
you
I'm
there.
doing a lot less physically, I'm doing a lot less, and I'm getting paid more. I'm gonna see how far their plan goes for me.
Right, right. I mean, it's
Like,
decent idea, but at the
well,
same
the
time, like,
reason Yeah, so the only reason why I'm putting any eggs in that basket, and I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket for fucking sure.
Of
I'm
course.
mainly using this as experience. Um, but the only reason why I'm putting any kind of eggs in that basket is because of hmm, how the people in the company who actually matter, how
Right.
they have, how they treat me, if that makes sense. So,
That makes sense.
like there's a bunch of people who they can't replace because they are so integral to the process or they're so specialized and like they give a lot of respect and a lot of weight to what these people say.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, because you're not going to fucking be able to replace them.
Of
Um,
course.
and when I first started working there, uh, the the best example I can give is our quality control guy, Brad.
Mm.
um, he's a little bit older, I'd say like mid 50s or so. Um, and he's a pretty serious guy. He's all about his job. He wants to make sure that everything is right. He wants to make sure that everybody's doing their job right so that there's no issue.
Yeah.
When I started working there, if he came out of his office, it was to check a part or it was to find out what was going wrong. Like he never really talked to anybody. He never really opened up. And he'd been working there for like 10 years before I started working there. And now he makes a point of it to come out every day, come out, make a joke with me, see what's going on for the day, see if we've got any uh, parts that need certified, because that's part of what he does is he certify like quality certifies some of our parts before we send them out.
Oh yeah.
Like he actually interacts with the people in the warehouse.
Okay.
And even some of the management team and a whole bunch of the senior salesmen have come to ask me about that. They're like, what the fuck? This is somebody who doesn't talk to anybody and fucking like he shows up to work and does his job very well, but he hates the people he works with because they're all stupid, is how he sees it. And I'm like,
Oh
well,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a blundering idiot who's always stoned as shit all the time, but I try to do things correctly and I try to make sure that people communicate with each other. And that's what he
Exactly.
likes about me is the fact that he can communicate not only with me, but if he tells me something, the person who's supposed to know about it is going to know about it. If
Right.
something needs done and I don't know how to do it, I'll find the person who needs to do it.
Exactly.
And I've gotten everybody in the warehouse to have that mindset.
That's
I've
always a
made it
good thing.
very clear to everybody that I'm not going to say indisposable, but about
Hey.
as close as you're going to fucking get from my position.
Yep. You gotta do
Like we had a
everything you do just to make, ends meet or make other
right,
people look bad.
I'll spend 30 seconds now to save 20 minutes later. I don't give a shit. I don't give a
Right.
shit if it's not my job. If I know that it's going to save my job later, I'm going to go ahead and fucking take care of it now.
Amen. That's
And
how I am.
when I started working there, the entire warehouse had the mindset of that's not my job, I'm not going to do it. That's not my job, I'm
Hmm.
not going to do it. And I mean about everything, dude. So if somebody was counting out parts and they didn't have enough parts, they wouldn't tell anybody because hey, that's not my job. The person bringing me parts didn't bring enough parts to begin with. And I'd
Right.
look at them in the face and I'd say, "Hey, how many parts did you have?" Well, I
Yeah.
only had 730 and I needed 1500. Well, what did the box say? Well, the box said 1500. Okay, so don't get mad at the person bringing you the parts because they brought you with the box set.
Yep.
Okay, and then they'll be like, well, then that's inventory's job to go through and make sure all the parts are right. And I'm like, dude,
No, it's
there's over
not.
$1 billion of parts in here.
Right.
Okay, the reason why this box is
It's
wrong to begin with is
everyone's
because
job.
it's everybody's job. This box has already been counted by somebody in your position. I'm not going to say it's you because I can look at the label and see, and I can see that it wasn't you. So we're not going down that path. But what I'm
Yep.
saying is this box has already been recounted and it just never got the appropriate label. Okay, I'm not looking to play the blame game. I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm bringing your attention to it so that you don't do it. Even though I know I've never had this problem with you, I'm just showing you, hey, this is where the problem is. It's not the
Right.
person who brought you the parts. It's not the person in inventory. This is where the problem is. this person no longer works here, so it's not even a fucking issue. Just deal with it.
Yep.
And because I've brought that attitude to the table, a lot less of that has been happening.
Of course.
Because they know that the exact same thing is going to happen, just after a little bit more time, because they're going to have to track me down, they're going to have to talk to me about it, and the same conversation is going to happen. Well, I'm going to have to go get you more parts. You should have told me about this earlier, and here's the reason why you need more parts. You knew that this was the reason. We only really have that problem with one guy. He's really arbitrary, and he doesn't get enough attention at home, so he gets attention everywhere else. And the dude's like my dad's age, dude.
Oh yeah.
But that's literally the type of person that Steve is. He just never gets attention at home, so he tries to get attention everywhere else. So like he'll cause minor problems that technically weren't his fault, but he could have done something about.
Right.
Like he's one of the dudes who counts parts, and so say that he gets parts at 8:30 in the morning, and the order's for 10,000, and he only has 9,996. He won't let anybody know about it until 2:30.
Oh jeez.
And I'm like, well, 6 pieces short of 10,000. That's close enough for error. You can go ahead and send that. Okay, we've talked about this multiple times. Secondly, you've sat on it for so fucking long, you could have just mentioned it to anybody during any of the breaks that you've had, during lunch when you're sitting in the fucking break room with everybody. Like, you could have mentioned it at some point. Just come on.
Oh yeah.
It's not that difficult.
Nope.
But we've got 3 people doing that job on 3 different, like, conveyor lines, pretty much is what they are. And the other 2 guys, they're pretty new. They're still like 2-3 months in. And I was very quick to let them know, I don't give a shit what your question is. Ask me instead of waiting. I will happily help you now instead of frustratedly help you later. And so, like, as soon as something happens, they're like, hey, yo, come look at this for a second.
Hell yeah. It's one way to do it.
Yeah, like, when I started working there, there was no morale, there was no fucking communication going on. There just wasn't a lot of positive things happening. And I know single-handedly, from me being there, I've turned around a lot of that. Exactly. And I talk about it all the time at work, and everybody's like, yeah, you know, that I've seen it. And I'm like, yeah. And what management can't understand is when I say things like that, I'm not saying that I'm doing all of the work. That is physically impossible to do.
Right.
I thank everyone around me all the time for the things that they do to help me out. It is impossible for one person to do that much work. But it is not possible for that much work to get done if everybody fucking hates each other. And sometimes all it takes is one person to make everybody not hate each other.
Yep.
I had 7 years of experience with that working at fucking Sonic.
Oh yeah, of course.
They had me working with nothing but fucking high school teenagers and meth addicts. So yeah, there had to be somebody there between the meth addicts and the fucking high schoolers.
Yep, never pulling them all together. And still getting them high.
Yeah.
Fun times at Sonic, bro.
I mean, I gotta say though,
that was some great times.
I know that them and everybody else in their lives would have much rather had them smoke fucking marijuana than meth.
Oh yeah, of course.
I made all of those kids realize, hey, I don't give a shit if you smoke or not, but you're not gonna be doing dope.
No. You can fucking smoke on the premises and fucking have the whole fucking building smell like
I don't
fucking
give a shit
smoke.
what you're doing, but you're not gonna be smoking fucking dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I got to a point where it was a little bit after you left for Hot Springs while I was still working there. I got to a point where all of the high school kids would come up there. You know, they'd just go up there and chill, and they'd smoke off in the corner and shit after
Oh
football
yeah.
games and stuff. And then all of their parents would come up there and
At the
have them
same
make them
time,
fucking mixed drinks.
mixed drinks.
Yeah, like their parents would come up there and have me make them drinks that they'd then just fucking pour their alcohol into and just sit up there because they knew, hey, their
Our
kid is
kids
somewhere
are
that they're not going to
there.
get in trouble. Yeah, like their
Yep.
kids are somewhere they're not going to get in trouble. They know their kids aren't out doing stupid shit.
Yeah, parents are pretty much right alongside of them, like making
Right.
sure they ain't
I mean, it
fucking
was a
up.
win-win.
Hell yeah. That's
Rob
freaking
never complained
hilarious.
about it because as soon as that shit started happening, our night shift labor started dropping because we were finally fucking making money after a certain point in the night.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone just came up there and got
Right.
what they wanted.
Right. Why drink at home by yourself with just beer when you can go up to Sonic and socialize and get mixed drinks? Because,
Mixed drinks,
buddy,
yeah.
tell
Make
me a
your
fucking
own mix.
flavor and I'll match it.
Fucking exactly. Fucking, you want a strawberry daiquiri with fucking your own
Your own
rum
alcohol?
poured
I
in
can bring
that
you the
shit?
strawberry. You add the daiquiri.
Yup. Exactly. Shit. Definitely agree with that.
Yeah, man. And if it was a bigger town, I might have had an issue with that. But dude, you live like Sonic is
No.
3 blocks from where
Dude,
everybody lives.
right. Everybody. Fucking maybe 10, 20 blocks, but hey. Everyone
Right.
went there. I miss that part of fucking, the just small
Yeah.
community, everyone gets to know each other. Here in Hot
Oh
Springs, it's
yeah.
like, I mean, I've gotten to know all the fucking high rollers and shit like that, so, I mean,
Yeah.
if I needed something, bro, I could probably just be like, hey, look, I'm fucking
I'm in a
hurting on
spot right
money.
now.
I'm hurting
I'm
on
in a
money,
spot right now.
like, help me out. But at the same time, you know me, like, I need to do everything on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I am not gonna ask
I'm the
for
same
fucking
way,
help.
and that's got me in some spots.
Oh yeah, me too. But at the same time, like, after seeing all the shit I see, like, man,
Yeah.
I could have like fucking 10 millionaires fucking promote my fucking streams and shit like that for, or at least give me 10K. You know, they
Yeah.
spend easily
Start.
10K in the fucking casino every fucking day. I'd be like, hey, look, if I make a profit, after your investment, I'll
And
start paying you off.
depending on what they do as well, it could also just be
Oh,
fucking
dude,
advertisement.
lumber mills, fucking, there's like all kinds, like people there fucking in their own like construction businesses
Yeah,
that,
dude. Totally. Like those are especially where you're living at. Like
dude,
advertising, dude. All you gotta do
exactly.
is yeah, we'll work on getting you like getting it set up and getting like a small following and shit. Cause yeah, totally,
Right.
most fucking absolutely.
I mean, if people just have so much money they don't know what the fuck to do with. Like, one
Right.
couple is
Better
in
just
the
do it.
oil rig fucking business.
Yeah.
And they're fucking, so the female does like horses, like
Yep.
thoroughbred horses.
Yep.
And then the guy does the oil rig shit. So, I mean, they have so much fucking stupid money. They'll come in there spending 100,000 a night, bro.
Yeah. As I said, just dropping 100K.
Right. Like, fucking like it's nothing. I'm like,
Oh
fucking
yeah, man.
drop me fucking 5K to help my fucking
Oh yeah,
computer
dog.
business, or fucking streaming, or fucking try to get some kind of merch going or website going or something.
Yeah, man.
Like,
And the last job, our mechanic was, he worked on oil rigs just as a worker, not even somebody who like made a lot from it, just an oil rig worker. And he was
mm,
always telling me about, yeah, man. In one year, we went through like 3 dualies, trucks.
yeah.
He's like, yeah, man, me and my buddies just went through a couple dualies one year because we just kept going out to the same mud flats and just blowing up the engine. We just kept going out and getting another one. And I was like, what? He's
Right?
like,
Like, how much
I was
were
like, how
they
do you?
paying you?
I was like, how do you afford to have 3 truck payments on shit you can't even drive? He's like, oh no, man, we were buying them cash. And I was like, excuse me?
Exactly. Those
Like
oil
what?
rigs get paid fucking nuts because you pretty much risk your life.
Like that
Like,
shit blew my mind.
yeah. I
I was
had
like,
one
we're
guy
talking
fucking
like
tell me,
300K disposable income.
right. No,
Like
I had
what?
one guy fucking, he said, like, just started out in the fucking oil rigs and everything. Fucking saw fucking 5 people die in his
Yeah.
first fucking day
Hmm.
because they got washed off the fucking oil rig.
Yep.
I was like, wait, what? Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, this shit's fucking rough.
Yep.
It's like
I'm sorry,
that,
out of all
okay.
the out of any job that deserves it, yeah,
Yeah,
those
oil rig
motherfuckers,
definitely
those
do. I
oil rig and
mean,
linemen.
oil rig linemen and fucking our, uh, you know, our army and navy
Oh
and
yeah.
everything that protects our fucking country. But at the same time, like, you know, president orders, that kind of bullshit, so. At the
As
same
somebody who
time,
was in the
I,
military for a little bit, man, military doesn't get paid shit. All the money that quote unquote goes to the military, it goes to uh, hmm, a lot of it currently is going to pensions.
oh yeah, of
So
course.
baby boomers, not only were they the largest generation to be born at the same time, they're also one of the largest generations to fucking retire at the same time, which means there's a lot less people in the workforce, but a lot more money leaving it for retirement and 401k and pensions and stuff. Same thing with the
Of course.
military. Right
Yep.
now, a lot of the military's money is actually being spent on pensions for people who aren't in the military anymore.
Yep.
As well as like missiles and shit we don't need, but that's a different story.
Oh yeah, complete.
In specific, I can't remember if it's the new can't remember if it's the new model of the Pathfinder missile, or I can't remember what exact model it is. But one particular model of missile costs per missile, first shot, 1.5 million. Okay, first shot.
Jesus.
And instead of using a cheaper explosive or cheaper round to like help aim and to help get the sights on these weapons zeroed in,
Yep.
we use the $1.5 million round, and we shoot 4 of them out of the barrel every time we need to recalibrate the gun. We spend $6 million to recalibrate those turrets.
No, that's an old truck.
Fucking ridiculous.
Waiting for us at the swamp.
William, that's one turret.
Mm-hmm.
Haley asked us to clear some debris. And I
So
got
let me
just
ask
started.
you, how many turrets do they actually have?
Of that specific model, they're not going to have a whole bunch. There's probably going to be like 40 or 50 in use, but still, that's
Oh yeah,
fucking absurd. When
that's
you
fucking
think about,
stupid.
like, so I know they've changed it a lot since I went through, especially because of technology and shit. But when I was in basic training, uh, when we did that, when we went out to like sight in our weapons to make sure our sights were good, zero in our aiming,
Right.
they gave us just enough bullets to do it.
Oh
That
yeah,
was it.
of course.
That was it.
Yep.
When we went out and we had to all do, we all had to train with all the different weapons and shit, obviously. When we all went out to do the, what's it called? The 203? Yeah, the M203. It's the underbarrel attachment for the M16, the grenade launcher underbarrel attachment. We all had to train with that. We all had to know how to use that. They gave us paintball rounds,
Oh wow.
like 70-cent paintball rounds.
Right.
Car is too old for this kind of driving.
When we all had to shoot the fucking shoulder-mounted rocket launcher,
Gave me a few heart attacks.
we all had to shoot one of those because we all had to know how one of those worked.
Explain to Haley why she's paying to repair.
It shot a 9mm tracer bullet.
Jesus.
Okay,
My
so
granddad's car.
out of this 4.5, 4-inch diameter tube, you're shooting a 9mm bullet.
Now, let me
So it doesn't matter what you're aiming at, you're never gonna hit it.
Yeah, right.
Now that's
Because that bullet, before it exits that chamber, it's just tumbling around and there's no way it's going straight.
No.
call it Lobo here.
And I was at Fort Benning in Georgia during the end of summertime, and it hadn't rained in a while. So when we went out to the range to do
Not just an excuse to throw the Lobo around.
our training for that,
Just an excuse to throw the Lobo around.
Right.
In the 90s,
it was the same day we did training for the
50 for the Mexican market.
240 Bravo and the 249 Saw. So the 249 Saw is the,
The Ford Lobo quickly became one of the most popular vehicles in the country.
I guess they would call it a light machine gun,
Lobo is still
because one person carries it around. It's the light machine gun that shoots the same size rounds as the M16. It's a 5.56 round.
Yeah.
The 240 Bravo is the big brother to that. It's pretty much the exact same design, except it uses a 7.62 round, which is a bigger bullet. It's the bullet that's fired by an AK-47.
Right.
We did training for those two machine guns, and then the rocket launcher. We did all of that on the same day. And
Damn.
we went to the shooting range to shoot with them all.
Right.
'Cause you have to have trigger time with every weapon. You do not get to graduate basic training until you've got every weapon at least one time. Period.
Yeah.
Except for the pistols. The only people who get pistols are military police, in the army, anyways.
Okay.
But we went to the range, and it was the most disappointing thing in my life.
Really?
Sitting down and shooting those two machine guns was the most disappointing thing in my life.
Why?
Because you go out to a range and you have a machine gun that you know this is a machine gun.
Oh
This is
yeah.
gonna do some shit. Your targets with those things are 2,000 meters away.
Jesus, with the machine gun?
With no sights.
Fucking
Every
nut.
third bullet is a tracer round. Okay, so every third bullet, you've got a streak of fire coming out. Well, no, that's not a good way to put that. Have you ever seen a tracer round?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So every third bullet is a tracer round.
Right.
So that's how you're trying to aim this shit. I'm in Georgia at the end of a dry summer, shooting tracer rounds across an empty fucking field.
Right.
About 3/4 of our company of 200 people got through it, and they had to stop us because we'd set the field on fire.
Of course.
They're like, yeah, just shoot at those. They had tanks. Like, I don't like using that word because it brings the wrong image to mind. I'm talking like they had very old, out of service, armored personnel carriers that we were shooting at off in the distance. That they had, like I'm saying, like 2,000 meters away. And they're like, yeah, you see those way out there? Just try to get your tracers up to that point and start trying to hit them. And you know, we only had like fucking 30 rounds to do it, so obviously nobody fucking got it.
Oh yeah.
And so like we just set the fucking shit on fire. And so the next couple days we're supposed to be doing M16 stuff at the range. We're supposed to be sighting in our weapons because we're supposed to be doing our qualifying the next week. So to finish basic training, you have to qualify with your rifle, which I'm fairly certain the standard for that never ever changes. Uh,
Right.
you go out to a shooting range, and it's different targets ranging from 50 meters. No, I think the closest one was 25. Uh, Ranging from 25 meters to 300 meters, and they're pop-up targets.
Oh
You
yeah.
have you have 40 bullets, and there are 40 targets,
Man.
but you have 4 magazines. You have 4 magazines of 10 bullets apiece. So you shoot 10 targets. There's a slight pause between the first 10 targets and the second 2 targets to let you reload, and then reload, and so on and so forth between every 10.
Yeah.
Well, you have to shoot in order to pass. You have to get 27 out of 40. No, it's 21 out of 40. You have to get 21 out of 40 to pass.
Okay.
And but obviously not everybody is going to look down the sights of their gun exactly the same. So you have to. Everybody has their own weapon, but before you got it, somebody else used it because the last person to go through basic training used it. So
Right.
they have to spend a little bit of time getting the weapon sighted in for your sight. And so that's you spend a couple days going to the range and doing that. And we actually had to postpone that for 4 or 5 days because the range was still on fire.
Oh damn.
Yeah, dude, the basic training that I went through was a shit show. It was so many things happened that weren't supposed to, and so many things didn't happen that were supposed to. It was ridiculous.
Oh, I bet.
And like because of all of that, we didn't finish our qualifying as early as we were supposed to, and so you're supposed to do what is called a live fire crawl, which is you're crawling through like a field of like barbed wire fences and like sand and mud and dirt and shit while there's live weapons firing over you,
Right.
like live machine guns that are shooting live ammo over you.
Damn.
um I don't know if they still do that, but that was still very much a thing when I went through basic training. However, the base that I went through basic training at, Fort Benning, was under investigation at the time because the last class that was supposed to have gone through it, right before they started it, they did testing, they did test firing on all of the weapons, and all of the weapons are on solid mounts. They're not ever supposed to move because obviously you don't want to fucking hit anybody. This is just an adrenaline exercise for how to act if there's bullets flying by. You're not actually supposed to be in danger.
Right.
Well, they went to do test firing on them, and every single one of them, the mount had been adjusted.
Wow.
Every single one of them, the mount was adjusted. And so they were investigating who the fuck did this because this is going to kill somebody. And they have to investigate that. And so they were still investigating that by the time that we were supposed to do it. So yeah, we never actually had to do a live fire exercise.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Somebody did almost die when we did grenade toss though. That was yeah, because everybody also has to train with a grenade. You have to
Right.
learn how to use a grenade.
Oh yeah, of course.
And so for the first like half, 2/3 of that day, you go out to it's a dummy range, and they give you a bunch of dummy grenades. All of you have dummy grenades that they don't even have pins. It's just the shape of a grenade that feels like a grenade, and you go through training with it, and like you go through the action of like pulling out the pin, waiting a second, throwing it, all of that shit, and then they take you out to like this. I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but where I was at, it's called Sand Hill. Fort Benning is called Sand Hill, because
Yeah.
it's nothing but sand and clay. So every time we did anything, it was always in a huge sand pit. Every time we did
Uh,
like every time we did like PT in the morning time, it was in a sand pit. Every time that we did uh like combat training, it was in a sand pit. Anytime that we did like maneuver exercises, it was in a sand pit. Like,
oh
every
yeah.
time we did like weapons training, it was in a sand pit. And then when I went to the next part of training, everybody I talked to that went to other places, they were like, "Yeah, we always do all that shit on foam mats." And I was like, "Really? Fuck, we always did that shit in the sand." Anyways, so for the grenades, you go out to this big like sand pit area, and you just pretty much all at the same goddamn time start lobbing your fucking dummy grenades, and like you have to throw it within a certain distance, and like within a certain time of you pulling out the pin and shit. Obviously, like you have to throw it a certain distance and find. Well, find is not the correct word. You have to be behind cover.
Yeah.
Find is not the right word, because if your dumbass did not have it planned out, if you threw the grenade and then started looking for cover, your ass got tackled.
Right.
Point blank. Point fucking blank. And
Oh
there's a
yeah.
reason for that. Because after that, after they feel fairly confident that everybody knows what the fuck is going on, next, they give everybody a live fucking grenade, and you get to stand in a line, and they take you to a bunker, pretty much, and you're all standing in line with a live fucking grenade in your hand.
Jesus.
And one at a time, the drill sergeants take one of you out of this bunker to this area that's like dug into the ground, and it's got a concrete barrier around three sides of it, and there's like sand and dirt dug around it. And they take you to this bunker, and they give you the final instruction. And while you're in this bunker, you pull the pin, you do the count, and then you have to throw the grenade. You have to throw it far enough away because it's a live goddamn grenade. Okay?
Yeah.
It is a literal fucking grenade. And when I was there, after like most of us had gone through it, there was somebody who had been like really timid and shy about it the entire day. And so the drill sergeants had been planning on them going like towards the back of the pack because they didn't want to have any problems. This
Right.
motherfucker threw it like 20 feet, dude. And like
Damn.
the drill sergeant is like, "Are you fucking serious?" And like there's shit in uh struct the structure that they're in. There's like shit there in case that happens. Like cover you with, and like
Right.
he's like just immediately whips it out and just like punches dude to the ground and throws it over him. Like shit was hilarious because
Oh
like
my god.
the way they have it set up, as long as it gets outside of that little fucking bunker thing you're standing in, you're not really in any danger. But like they are, the drill sergeants are given full fucking authority to make sure that you are on the ground in
Oh
case
yeah.
something like that happens.
Right.
When I tell you he punched the dude in the face, he punched dude in the face to make him drop to the ground. It was it was something else, dude.
That's hilarious.
Because corporal punishment have been like they're not allowed to like physically interact with the people going through basic training. Like
Right.
when I was going through basic training, they were testing that, and so all the drill sergeants were still really upset about it. Now it's not even a question. Like you're not that's not allowed. Period. But so every chance the drill sergeants got, if there was any kind of question about it, or if there was any kind of like gray area in the rule book, the motherfuckers were putting hands on you.
Oh yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, man, that is the fastest I've ever seen somebody hit the ground in my life.
I bet.
beauty got her name from the Carrera Panamericana.
Like at that point, drill sergeant's already gone through like 120 of us motherfuckers, and he's just ready to get his day over with, and he's got adrenaline flowing through him still because it's a fucking live grenade in the hands of somebody that he doesn't fucking know or trust.
Right.
There's Jamin. Guess he wanted one last race.
Yeah, man, it takes a lot to be a drill sergeant. Everybody, like, they get a bad rap because of like, there's a reason they act the way that they do, and a lot of that is because if they don't, something is going to happen.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, I saw that so many fucking times.
Yep.
And it's a lot easier once you find out that they don't give a fuck about you, they give a fuck about a team.
Oh yeah.
Once you figure that out and you can figure out how to fucking act as a team, it doesn't, you don't have shit to worry about at all.
No.
And that is one of the few things that has very much stuck with me from that. I take that everywhere. Motherfucker, I can have a problem with you personally, but we're gonna fucking work and get shit done.
Yeah.
And then after we're done working, I'm not gonna speak to you. And that's okay. Got no problem with that. We finished what needed to get done, and I'm proud of that.
Yep. As long as we do what we gotta do.
Yep. It took everybody at work a little bit to realize that that was my approach. Like, motherfucker, I don't care what the problem is. I want to know what the problem is and how it started. I don't care who started it. I want to know how we can not do it again.
Right. How we can progress and move past it.
I don't give a fuck if you think it's because so-and-so did this. Well, why did so-and-so do this at the time that it happened? Let's figure that out.
1950 to 1954. Originally celebrating the opening of the Mexican section of the longest...
Like, before I took over with the position that I'm in now, the person who was in this position, he doesn't understand the value of communication, period.
Of course not.
But also, he is somebody who thinks he's too smart for anything else that's going on around him. He's decently intelligent, but he's not somebody that I would pick out of a crowd and call intelligent, no. But if something ever happened, like in the warehouse, he'd always be like, oh, you know, that's not my problem, that's somebody else's problem. Like, they shouldn't have fucked up and made that a problem in the first place and shit.
Right.
And so everybody had a specific attitude about how that position was, and like, about, so the position I'm in now, like I said, I'm in charge of the workflow for the warehouse. So like, I kind of decide who does what work.
Right.
And so before, what was happening was the person in my position would try to like specifically tailor it to who would do what, but if it didn't go to plan, oh well. Oh fucking well, figure it out.
Right.
Whereas now, before I started this position, I was part of that mayhem aftermath to begin with, and so everybody that I was working with, who I'm now kind of directing around, I was like, look, I'm not going to have as much experience with this warehouse, but I have a lot of experience with this position in general. So it might take me a second to figure out where everything is at and like how to make our system, our computer system, work the way I want it to work. But while all of that is going on, let me know if there's a problem, because I can't fix a problem if I don't know about it.
Right.
And so at first they were kind of like, yeah, you know, sure, like kind of like blowing it off at first because they'd been told that before and nothing had ever come of it. But I've only been in this position. I was in this position by myself outside of training. Last week was my first week, and when I first started there, nobody would ever communicate that there was a problem going on. They just let it fucking melt down until somebody else noticed that something was melting down. Whereas now, like, I'm looking constantly at the shit that's going on in the computer and shit, and I'm going out there and asking them, hey, you know, I saw that you got everything else for this order like 30 minutes ago, but I saw that you still haven't gotten this part. Is it because you couldn't find it, or like was the inventory location that I gave you from the computer, was that not right? You know, what's going on? And because of that, it only took me like a day and a half of that. Everybody is now coming directly to me if something's a problem.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's never happened with that position before.
That position. Yeah.
That's why
Good.
I've got pretty high hopes for longevity.
Yeah.
Because last year around this time, my friend Brady had offered me a job to work with him at West Rock Coffee, doing like inventory work. They offered me like $19.50 an hour plus full benefits, and I stopped smoking for a month so I could pass a drug test. And but I was smoking CBD the whole time, and well, apparently I failed the drug test for CBD, but not for THC. But they didn't recognize a difference or whatever. And so I showed up for work the first day, and I was working for a little bit, and then an HR lady comes in and she's like, "Well, you didn't pass your test or whatever," and like kind of like walked me out after having me work for a fucking hour. And anyways, during all that, I had already built up enough just back pay, like vacation pay, that I was like, well, you know, I'm just gonna fucking, I guess, spend this time looking for another job if I want, try to find something else. I ended up just not working for like almost a whole month.
Yeah.
And then I went back to where I'm at now.
Right.
And the moment I walked in, the moment that I came back in, our warehouse is separated into two different areas. We have the main warehouse area, which is where I'm at. We do like all of the normal stuff. And then we have what we call a bagging area, which our company is the only company that I know of in the country that will take parts. Say that you're putting together bumpers on a car, and you know that every one of those bumpers is going to take 6 bolts, 6 nuts, and 6 washers. Well,
Right.
instead of buying 6,000 of that, and then you going through and picking out 1,000 packs of that, guess what? We've got somebody sitting in a room in front of a machine that'll make you a bag that's got 6 nuts, 6 bolts, and 6 washers in it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll take a box of 10,000 bolts, a box of 4,000 nuts, a box of 10,000 washers, and they'll take 6 of those out at a time, put them in a bag. Okay?
Damn.
That part of the warehouse has absolutely nothing to do with the job that I was doing at the time. Okay? Absolutely nothing. There should
Damn.
never be any interaction between the bagging room and the part of the warehouse that I was working in before.
Right.
I was gone for a month, okay? And the day that I walked back in, the bagging room managers came back out there to thank me for coming back.
That's pretty sweet.
That's just how chaotic it is there, okay? And as I've explained to everybody else up there, they're trying to train somebody to take my spot. Because like I said, I'm moving to a new position, and they've obviously got to fill my spot. The only reason why my spot worked to begin with is because of how ADHD and chaotic I am to begin with.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, you saw a little bit of how far I've fallen whenever I was putting in your computer shit, how I was putting in one part and I was then putting in another part because, hey, look at that, there's another part that needs to be put in. Oh wait, this first part's not put in yet, but I still remember about it. Yeah. So imagine that for like 20 different orders at a time.
Oh yeah.
And I tried explaining that to everybody, when they first brought it up, I was like, yeah, I've got no problem moving, but you're gonna have to understand you're not gonna be able to find anybody to fill my position.
Yeah.
And so the person that got to fill my position, he's a hard worker, he's a real good worker, he's smart enough to do it, but there's no fucking way that he'll be able to do it at the capacity that I did it at,
Right.
simply because of that. And I tried explaining that to everybody, and the only person who understood what I was talking about is the person whose position I'm taking. He was like, oh yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason I've been able to send the type of work that I've been able to send is because you can keep track of it. I was like, yeah, you fucking bastard, I know this, because at any given time, on the worst days, how can I put this into perspective? So you know how, like, being at McDonald's, you've got an expediter,
Yeah.
somebody who like gets everything together.
Right.
Okay. What I was doing, I was the expediter for the entire warehouse, William.
Oh yeah, of course.
The entire warehouse.
Oh
So
yeah.
bulk items that don't need to get recounted, recounted items, and items that are coming straight from the bagging room straight to where they need to go. So at any given time, if the person who is doing dispatch, the job that I'm now doing, if they're not paying attention to what's going on or what orders are in progress and what orders need to be worked on, the worst day that I can remember, William, I was working on 27 different pallets at the same time.
Jesus.
And at any given moment, literally any given moment, one of those pallets might have an item finished on one of the recount lines, or it might have something else come to me from somebody on a forklift who's bringing me a bulk item that doesn't need to be recounted.
Right.
Yeah, dude, that was the final straw for me. I told Andy, I was like, look, dude, either this changes or you're finding somebody to replace me, because the only reason this is possible is because I am here. And you
Oh yeah.
full well understand that.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's... And now, the person that was doing... See, it's so weird. So the person who's leaving, his name is Tanner. I'm taking Tanner's position. But while I'm training for that, he gave them like a month notice before he left. I don't know why. He's a fucking idiot. But while I'm still like finishing up learning and training and stuff, he is finishing the training for the person taking over my job.
Yeah.
So now he gets to see that the position he was in truthfully does control everything in the fucking warehouse. Because before he was like, well, I don't know why all this stuff is getting to you at the same time, because I didn't tell them to start on it at the same time, whatever. And I'm like, I understand that, dude, but you're not looking at what they're currently working on. You're not looking at when they take breaks. You're not looking at any of this information that you need to look at so that you can actually tell when things are going to get done. Because I'm sorry, it's a lot easier to get work done if you work with people than trying to force them to do work.
Oh yeah.
So if I can find out when somebody takes their breaks, or I can find out when somebody goes on lunch, or I can find out when somebody starts working during the day, like, hey, we get to work at 7, but you have a coffee and breakfast and shit, you start working at 7:30, I'm going to work with you on that rather than be like, hey, no, we get here at 7 o'clock, start doing the work. Like, no.
Right.
That's going to put you in a worse mood. That's going to make everything go slower because you're going to be upset all fucking day.
Yep.
Like, take your 30 fucking minutes. What we do is not that fucking important.
No.
Yeah, man, like, he would fucking pull his hair out and shit over, like, well, the salesman said we gotta get this shit out, like, now. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. They should have told us about that 2 hours ago. Like, they're
Yeah,
not
they
gonna,
fucked
the
up.
salesmen aren't gonna lie in a while, but after they finally get settled in, I know it's gonna have a huge effect on the entire fucking operation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, like, right now, we just recently closed our walk-in retail area. Uh,
Route is set. Telemetry recording.
because when I first started working there, we had the huge warehouse and shit, and we do a whole bunch of shipping and stuff. But they also had a little like shop kind of off the corner of the warehouse, and it had small quantities of parts that were like really common, and so they'd sell parts out of the retail. Well, they closed down retail because there was a huge hassle and there was a whole bunch of inventory problems going on because the person who was in inventory was in the retail area. They weren't moving parts out of the warehouse to the retail area correctly, a whole bunch of other stuff. It was a whole mess, so they just shut it down. We were told that that would mean there's no more retail orders because I'm not going to stop what I'm doing in the middle of the day pulling a $400,000 order so I can go find you 6 fucking screws. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And if you want it to happen, it's not going to happen in 5-10 minutes. It's going to take a while I finish up everything else.
Oh yeah.
And so the salesmen have got it into their head that even though we don't have a retail area anymore, they can still do will call orders. Well, yeah, you can do will call orders as long as they're 24 hours in advance. You can't have a customer call you, hey, I need 2 pallets of this and I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Right.
It's never going to work.
Oh no.
And so Tanner would like scramble around and shit to make sure that all of that shit got done. And because he was always scrambling around and putting in a whole lot of effort to do the things that we did not need to be doing, the salesman started to make it a habit. Oh, well, it's going to get done. You know, somebody's going to do it. It's been getting done. And no, absolutely not. I will put in the bare minimum effort to make sure that you see that somebody's at least working on it, but I'm not going to be unrealistic with it.
Hell no. Right.
Yeah, my immediate boss is, he's a character. Andy, he's a good enough guy, but as far as management goes, I can't really say he's good in management.
Oh yeah.
Instead of fixing problems, he'd rather smooth them over. Like, we have a huge problem with I'll come in the morning time, and night shift will have a whole bunch of shit started and nothing finished.
Oh.
And then we have to finish it, and then we have to finish everything that we start on, or we get in trouble for not finishing what we started. So I was like, look, dude, we're doing our stuff on top of finishing their shit. Like, this can't continue happening.
No.
And I was pretty much told to my face that I'm sorry you're frustrated that you have to do somebody else's work, but I've said what I can to them about it, and nothing has changed. So that lets me know that A, either you're not saying the correct things as a manager to let them know that your employees are having issues, or you haven't actually done it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a third option, which I really don't want to think about, which is you obviously don't have the authority that they say you have.
Yep. Probably definitely any of those.
Well, they've somehow got it into their minds that it's easier to deal with a problem that they know about than try to replace it with something new and then a different problem pop up.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's not how that works, man. If that's your mindset about it, then yes, 100%, that's how it's always going to work. But if you change your mindset about it, then it's not going to happen like that.
Hell no. Alrighty, so I think this is where I get off here for the night. I will spin. See
Yeah,
what
I'm
we
probably better
get.
get off. I'm smoking my final blunt.
Oh, I got
Get like an hour sleep
Grand.
before work.
I got Forza Edition Gran Turismo S Forza Edition 2010. Clean skill boost Maserati.
Wait, you gotta. Oh, yeah. I just got that one a while back. Yeah. Maserati GTS.
Heck yeah. I got stories. What is the story? Earned 3 stars in all chapters of Made in Mexico. Almost got that one. Get a new car for that. Some of these you get the gold quest or whatever. Get some new
Huh?
cars. Made from
Oh,
Maserati.
made in Mexico. You should have already finished that one. That should have been the one where we. Oh no, we did the Ocho story.
Whoa,
The
Alex,
Oh
Vocho.
yeah.
are you okay?
But I mean you gotta get 3 stars and a bunch of different ones
And
to
I'm
get
slowly going through all those.
that's what I've been doing.
Going through the accolades. Yeah.
Yeah. Accolades and getting the I guess main quest type stuff
Well,
done.
so to be honest, if you do the accolades, everything in the game will be done, because the accolades include like winning, not just racing in every race, but winning every race and shit like that.
Oh yeah. So I'm like kind of halfway using Gavin because he's trying to get, you know, his points for whatever
Yep. Yeah.
he
Oh,
likes.
he
He
should be
likes street.
blazing through it, really.
Do what?
He should be blazing through it, really.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we're pretty close to done with the street races. And
Oh yeah.
then me and you were doing the drift races, so hoping maybe one day someone comes in and does the cross country races. And I'll help them out with that.
Oh, I still got to do a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
There's so many new events here or there, so
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten speed traps all the way done. I've gotten speed,
Wait, all the way done?
yep, speed traps all the way
I
done.
still have 2 more accolades on this one. What are they?
Got speed
Oh, earn 3
traps.
stars in a in a rally monster. Earn 3 stars at the Baja California, and the other one within 60 seconds. What the fuck? Try to do that one real quick.
I'm gonna do El Camino. Any more? Oh, not too many more. I think there's like 2 more after this race for El Camino.
I found more of Lady Sydney's papers, original drafts of El Camino. She made pencil sketches of formations that I recognize in the Valle de las Ranas, and she sketched one of the statues.
Lead the way.
Okay, so, I have a fantastic creatures carved in rock. And she found the statue early one morning. And get this, it was after a rainstorm.
And this is another statue of Tlaloc. That is interesting. Let's see if we can find it.
El Valle is east of Guanajuato. Mira, let's go. Valle de las Ranas means Valley of the Frogs, though I always thought the stones looked more like fantastical creatures. And Lady Sydney did too. She got sketches in her book. Imagínatelo, imagine it. Explorers like Lady Sydney came all this way with nothing but ganas y un gran amor for the wilds of Mexico.
She sounds like someone I know.
Yo? I shoot cars for the festival. You do all the work. And my ride is a lot faster than the wagons, no?
We have slightly more
Alright.
than one
I should be able to do
horsepower.
this.
You know, I
Now that I know what the fuck
suppose
it is.
reading El Diario is one of the reasons I became una fotógrafa. I wanted to capture the same belleza she did.
Yeah, double triple. That was easy. Now I gotta earn 3 stars and a vehicle from the rally monsters.
Today, the Valle de las Ranas is one of the most visited natural wonders in Mexico. Lady Sydney definitely knew a marvel when she saw one.
Completed another
But the
chapter.
guidebooks don't say anything about a Tlaloc statue here.
Yeah. We're finishing up this last speed trap thing. Whee!
I have it. No, perdón, no
Yay.
tengo para explicar. Just come and meet me.
All the speed traps done.
Finally. Beat you for
I had all of
speed
them.
traps.
I had them all 3-starred, but I didn't have all the accolades.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, because I never drive rally monsters, and that was one of the ones you have to drive through a speed trap.
Yep.
Speed zones. I got 72 out of 77. What?
Mira, I cross-referenced the final pages of the book with all the other papers I could find, and it's Ekbalam. It has to be. Lady Sydney
Ekbalam.
Wolverstone's expedition headed south to Ekbalam.
Ekbalam. What is Ekbalam?
Ekbalam was
Oh,
one of the
Ekbalam?
hardest
It's at the
hit
bottom of the map.
valleys, but we know very little about it, actually. In fact, researchers are divided on exactly how much of what we know about the Toltecs is historical
It's the pyramids at the bottom.
and how much is Aztec legend.
So why are we going to Ekbalam? And
Pyramids.
not Attila?
Wolverstone's book doesn't call it Ekbalam, of course, but she describes a large group of buildings, perhaps 20 or more, and a large oval palace. And listen to this. 3 large statues of the sort I have found in other places.
3? I'm pretty sure I only saw 2.
Oh, that's... not all. She also wrote, the third largest of them in the same stone I have come to recognize lay to the south of the complex, only barely visible in the driving rain.
Let's get there before the rain stops then.
Alright.
We are gonna get through this fucking rainforest, whether it fucking.
Alright, well, let me get off.
Alright.
Alright, man, I'll probably see you tomorrow.
Alright, later, bro.
So.
Alright. I think I got it.
It's been fun, though I do feel like there should have been treasure at the end of it.
Bueno, maybe.
The treasure was the friends we made along the way.
Aha, you said that, not me.
So that's that.
Definitely like
One more
friends.
thing. According to the book, Wolverson took a jade statue from the site, but lost it in a flash flood. I'll try and work out where that was.
Last
I'll
flip.
call you as soon as I know.
Now I'm intrigued. Call me, yeah?
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Ay, ay, ay. Hi there, Hall of Famer, eh? Woo! No time to explain. Vente ya, come. Meet me.
Thanks, Carmen. Is this about the book?
Alright. I think that's where I get off of here for the night. So I hope you all like the content. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Check out my Discord server. I know it's in the comment section. You have a great night. Catch y'all guys later. Gals and girls. Deuces.